All right, Brent, we're back for some week 6 action in the NFL again this week. We've got a game currently being played in London. We have the Jags and the Bears, a couple of first overall quarterbacks dueling it out over there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So again, from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed, we got football action in the NFL world, which is always great. Brent, how you feeling for week 6?
I'm liking this. Some games with some low scoring over unders here, but it should be a good week. Should be a fun week. You got a lot of big names that are out. JT's out. Brian Robinson's out. Ramondre's out. I know I'm missing some other names, but you do have some coming back with AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Evan Ingram, as we see on the TV. Got some big names coming back, some big names going out. It's a week of back and forth for your starts and sits. It's going to be a fun week, I'm sure. Lots of people out there with some questions. Join in, get these questions rolling. We're excited for it.
I sure hope my first sip of my energy drink is an indication of my Sunday, because I just spilled that all down the front of myself. So sticky hands, sticky shirt. Let's go. It's going to be a good morning.
I believe I'm playing you in our main league, so I do
in
hope
in our big league. That is correct. And in that big league, that's where I rely on guys like Jonathan Taylor and Brian Robinson. So I got to start 4 wide receivers against you this week, and I got to start Najee Harris, which was so good last week, absent Jalen Warren. Now that Jalen Warren's back, it'll probably be really fantastic. But it's murky waters over here for this fat boy this week, but we'll get through it.
Absolutely. It's a 50-50 split right now by projections. Even with me having 2 guys, I got lucky that Kenneth found the end zone to save my grace there.
All right, we got our first one rolling in. Dickie says, pick 3, please. Mike Evans, Wan'Dale Robinson, Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith. And then he's got a defensive question here. So which is there, first of all, who's the one that you want to leave out? Because that makes this the easiest, Brant.
Philly has Cleveland, so I'm okay with that. That's going to be high scoring. I don't want to say it, but I think I leave Wan'Dale out. I like Mike Evans is too good. In my mind, has been too good. And Flowers is in a high scoring game with Baltimore plays Washington in the second highest scoring. And Devonta Smith is coming back. So I think I have to leave Wan'Dale out, and I don't like it. All 4 are great starts, I think, this week.
Yeah, Zay Flowers gets too many targets to take out at this point. Mike Evans is a touchdown machine. Yeah, my gut almost kind of tells me to sit Devonta Smith because AJ Brown's first week back. Maybe they try to feature him, but you just can't sit Devonta in favor of Wan'Dale Robinson at this point. I know Wan'Dale's been really good this year, but Slayton got his virtual flowers, if you will, against the last week when Neighbors was out. So I believe that was against your Seahawks, Brant. You watched that one firsthand, but I'm gonna leave Wan'Dale out just because the other 3 are so good. As far as the defense, he's got the Eagles, Bucks, or the Falcons. Brant, which one of those do you prefer?
Eagles got Cleveland. Bucks have. I'm taking the Falcons away. I think Carolina has actually been pretty good. I know they looked a little shaky last week. I'm going to go with the Bucks going against the rookie quarterback and Spencer Rattler. I'm going to start the Bucks.
Yeah, I like the Bucks with the Rattler under center, but they do still have Alvin Kamara. The Browns have absolutely nothing under going on for them right now. Maybe next week they get a little better with Chubb coming back. Actually, I think Chubb's supposed to play this week, isn't he? Either way, I think I'm still going to go with the Eagles defense here. I think that Browns, offense is just atrocious. Deshaun Watson's, man, how many more games do we have to see before Jameis Winston gets under center? It can't be many. But I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one just because the Browns, I think they'll get some turnovers off of Watson here.
All right, next up, Javi asks, Evans or Mooney? I'm going to go with Evans here. As good as Mooney's been, I'm going to have to go with Evans. Just a touchdown machine. I expect that game to be very good for the Bucks this week. I'm going to go with Evans.
Yeah, I'll roll with Evans on this one too. I think he's got a better chance to find the end zone than Darnell Mooney does. I understand Mooney's coming off of that 2 touchdown performance last week, but I do think Evans is going to be the guy that scores out of these two. Raymond says Marvin Harrison or Scary Terry in PPR, Brant.
Oh, it's Scary Terry. This is the highest scoring or one of the highest scoring games of the week. Baltimore's been shredded by their secondary. It hasn't been great to look at. I'm going to go with Scary Terry.
I think I agree by the slightest of margins. The Packers defense, their secondary is very good. They're healthy with Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes back there. So I do think I slightly lean Scary Terry in this one. Marvin Harrison has either been super good or super bad this year. So I think eventually that gets straightened out. But until I see that, I think with a guy like Scary Terry, I'm going to play him.
Give me 1 second. I may come back to this question here. Is Alexander out again this week?
I thought he was supposed to play, Brant.
Looks like he is healthy and going to play. He's questionable and sounds like he's going to play. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Scary Terry. All right, back to Javi. Ask for also Javonte or Chase Brown. Bengals have
Giants on Sunday Night Football, Broncos at Chargers.
I'm going to go with Williams here. I like Williams. I like what he's bringing to the table for Denver. I'm going to go with Williams here. The Giants do have a decent front seven. Obviously, it was good enough to scare Seattle into only running the ball 7 times that game. But no, I'm going to go with Williams. I think that this is a better matchup for him in a low-scoring, grounded-pound game.
I don't think that front seven in New York is decent, Brand. I think they're very good. And you do still have Zach Moss contending with touches as well out of that backfield, as well as a high-powered passing game there. Whereas this contest between the Broncos and Chargers looks to be a low-scoring contest, should focus on both of Javonte Williams and J.K. Dobbins. However, in a league you and I co-own, we just traded for Javonte Williams. We also just got Brandon Ayuk in that same contest. So if Brandon Ayuk's performance on Thursday night's any indication of what Javonte is going to do for you and I, maybe it should be Chase Brown here. But I do go Javonte with you, Brand. I think he should be in line for a good little line of work this week. Jennifer says, pick one: Alexander Madison, Justice Hill, Xavier Hutchinson, Devontae Wicks, or Alec Pierce, Brant.
I'm going to go with Madison. It sounds like Zamir White's going to be out and miss the game. So Madison should be the focal point of that backfield. Should see the dump offs, the running game. So I'm going to go with Madison. We know Madison is great whenever he is a backup running back. He's never been the greatest as a starter. But so I'm going to go with Madison this week.
Anthony Richardson's back under center this week for the Colts. It's almost hard to sit his favorite deep ball target this week.
That is true.
Even though I think Alec Pierce is a really fun play, I think for me it comes down to Madison versus Wicks. I think I'm going to lean Madison. What did Wicks do with Love back last week, Brant? 7 targets. He only hauled in 2 of those 7, but he had 7 targets. Give me Alexander Madison. It's the safer play. It's the safer play.
Dobbs is back this week. Dobbs did miss last week with the suspension too. Daryl says, I like Wandale this week, but forgot to switch him for Brian Thomas Jr. So my question is, Braylon Allen or Algier? So last week on my underdog picks, all my ones I did research on hit great. My gut feelings was the one that I missed. So I'm going with this, and I'm going to say it. It's my gut feeling. I'm going with Algier because the new coach in the Jets organization is going to lean on Brees Hall and get him back to being Brees Hall. So I don't know how much work Allen's going to get. I think it's going to be the Brees Hall show this week. So give me Algier. Now, once again, it's all my gut. And, new coach wants to lean on one of his best weapons, not his 75-year-old quarterback. Let's lean on the young legs of Brees Hall. I know Allen's looked phenomenal, but I think I have to go with Algier.
So actually, Brant, it's interesting. The new offensive coordinator, Todd Downing, who was the quarterback coach, has had a stint as a offensive coordinator in the past, and it was with the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry, and it was the highest run percentage in the NFL. And then the second year of his OC stint in Tennessee, it was the 6th highest percent. I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for both Braylon Allen and Brees Hall in that contest. So I do like Braylon Allen. However, Tyler Algier has been getting a lot of run. He looks really good between the tackles. But for some reason, my gut tells me this is a Bijan Robinson week this week against the Carolina Panthers. Everything else is starting to click for the Falcons offense. I think they want to get their first-round pick from last year going this week. And a get-right game for them. I'm going to go with Algier here, but I still think Braylon Allen is definitely serviceable this week.
Cole Kmet touchdown as this game is going on. Shredded.
I did not start him against you this week. So Charlie says Godwin, Sermon, or Mixon in half-point PPR, Brant.
It's hard to sit Mixon with how much work he sees in that Texans offense. Man, I can't speak right now. I want to say Mixon, but I got to go with Godwin. Godwin's been too good this year running out of the slot. He's looked great. So I think I'm going to go with Godwin.
Yeah, last week was Godwin's worst week, Brant. He was wide receiver 40, which is still not terrible, especially when you're talking about starting him in your flex. Right. Over the course of the season, his targets have been 8, 8, 9, 9, 6. I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm seeing out of Chris Godwin. He probably doesn't come out of my lineup at this point. Let's see. Questions are pouring in so quick. I got to scroll back up to get where we were. Here we go.
All right. So Ryan asked, pick 2, James Conner, Montgomery, or Jacobs. I want to start all 3. Is that an option? I think the only reason I go with this, who does Arizona have? Before I just start disputing. So the reason I'm going to go with this is I'm sitting Monty, all because Gibbs is there. James Conner has been a horse. Jacobs has looked great over the last couple weeks. I'm sitting Monty, all because he does have to share it. Jacobs, I don't think has had to share the backfield. I think he's still seeing over 80%. And it's PPR. Jacobs does catch a few out of the backfield as well. Double checking this. I don't own Jacobs anywhere because I was terrified of him this year, but he's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks.
He's been catching passes out of the backfield.
Yeah. And he saw 19 carries last week against the Rams. He's going against the softer Arizona against the run. I think I keep Jacobs in. I think I have to pull Monty, though Monty's going to find the end zone because he always does. But I think I have to keep Monty out.
Yeah, I'm not sitting Monty. Micah Parsons is out again this week, so I think the Cowboys are going to be susceptible to the run. I think Micah Parsons is one player that's good enough to scare me away from somebody in fantasy. Out of the backfield, he's not playing. I'm going to actually sit James Conner out of this contest, Brant. I think that Packers defense is going to be pretty good. So I actually sit Conner. So we're torn on this one. I definitely understand your reasoning behind Montgomery, but just as soon as you sit Montgomery, he'll go for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jahmyr Gibbs will have a quiet contest. So I can't sit him, especially after getting that new contract done yesterday.
I'm chuckling because I'm looking at the sleeper stats. 16.5 carries projection, 70.5 yards for Connor, 16.5 carries for Jacobs, 69.5 yards.
Oh yeah,
Those two are almost identical.
I was looking at that on Underdog this morning because I was trying to decide if I wanted to pick either one of them for my player props. I did not, just so you know. Fantasy Inc. says, how are you feeling about Tyrone Tracy versus the Bengals tonight? I'm disappointed here. I was expecting another Yoshiva comment this week. So I studied this week, Brand. I was ready for it. How are you feeling about Tyrone Tracy this week? I feel really good about him. I think I'm starting him in a couple spots. So I like what he did last week. He had over 100 yards rushing. I think the Bengals defense is pretty susceptible to getting burnt by the run. I start Tyrone Tracy with a fair amount of confidence.
Yeah, I like it, especially with Singletary being out. I thought we were going to see, a little split this week, but I absolutely love Tracy against the Bengals this week. I think it's a good start. I think he'll give you solid RB2 to flex numbers. I'm not sure if he'll vault into that RB1 like he did last year, but I do think he'll be a great start this week.
Okay.
Excuse me. Pops asked, so my dad, he asked Kraft or McBride today. We just talked about who Arizona plays. Oh, they're in the same game. That's why. I think I actually go with McBride on this one. Kraft's been phenomenal, but he's not going to find the end zone two times every single week. I think he's found the end zone at least the last 2 weeks. Dobbs is back. They're sharing the ball a lot. So I think I have to go with McBride.
Yeah, I'm going to go McBride too. Obviously, Kraft has been phenomenal. However, he was dealing with a groin injury all week. He's not doesn't have an injury designation today, but groin injuries seem to be one of those injuries for like the skill position guys that they can re-aggravate during a game pretty easily, and that scares me a little bit with a guy like Tucker Kraft. So I'll go McBride just because he has been a focal point of that Arizona Cardinals offense, been one of the better tight ends over the course of the season this year. I think you start him with a fair amount of confidence this week. Bill says, in PPR, do you start Deontay Johnson, who's questionable, Jalen Tolbert, who's coming off of a huge game, or Dontavian Wicks, Brant?
Well, this guy must have seen my Underdog notes or something here. I'm going with Deontay Johnson. I know he plays Arizona, AJ Terrell, but AJ Terrell has actually given up quite a few yards. He's been very susceptible. I think I saw a stat. It was like 14 of 17 for 148 yards. Against the wide receiver ones there. Deontay Johnson's been phenomenal against Andy Dalton with Andy Dalton. So I think I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, Deontay Johnson feels like the obvious one here. Just checking some things over. Yeah, I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson as well here. Like you said, Brant, AJ Terrell does tend to give up some big plays here and there. So I will also go with Deontay Johnson in this one. I think he should have a serviceable week. Let's see.
Dickie asked, Antonio Gibson, Bucky, or J.K. Dobbins? Please pick two. Thank you for advice. Always a pleasure to hand out the advice in the morning. We enjoy it. This one's tough. I go with Bucky is the one that I'm definitely leaving in. He's looked phenomenal with White. Now White's out, so he looks to be the bulk carrier. I think I take Gibson out. I think I start Bucky and Dobbins. We haven't got to see Vidal this year. He is going to be active this week there in the Chargers backfield. He was very electric out of Troy. You and me both have talked about him quite a bit, but I think Dobbins is still the go-to guy there. So I'm going to start Dobbins.
Okay, I have a hard time sitting Antonio Gibson this week, Brant, just because of the simple fact that you do have Drake May starting, a rookie quarterback, which you and I have always said, and we stand by this. What do rookie quarterbacks love to target? Their tight ends and their running backs. There's no Ramondre Stevenson this week. Antonio Gibson is one of the better pass-catching backs in the NFL. I think these guys, all three of these guys, are easy starts. So I'm going to sit the one based on who's playing the toughest defense this week. which I know he looked good against the Steelers when they played him going in the week before their bye. But I'm sitting J.K. Dobbins against the Denver Broncos defense. That's one of the best defenses in football right now. So I'm going Antonio Gibson and Bucky with no competition in the backfield. I know Gus Edwards is out this week, like you mentioned, Brant, but there is still other names. I still think they'll cycle backs pretty routinely in LA. I'm going Gibson and Bucky Jr. here.
Okay. I forgot about that Drake May starting with all the injuries this week. That one slipped my mind there. So that is a very good start there.
Yes.
Pop's going to come back, and I'm going to leave this one on you. He wants to know Devonta Smith, Jalen Reed, or Breece Hall. I am torn between all three of these in the flex. We've got Connor. This is the league I help him out with. He's got Connor and Chuba in his running back spots, two guys that are getting the bulk. Breece has been very questionable over the last few weeks, so this is definitely a huge question. Where's your head at with it?
Who's starting in the wide receiver 1 and 2 spots?
Drake is 1, and number 2 is ESPN, so it takes a little bit. Scary Terry.
I think I'm starting Devonta Smith and Jaden Reed over Scary Terry this week. Because I don't want to leave any of these guys off. You got Breece Hall against the Bills Monday night. I love having that Monday night miracle. That's one of my favorite things to have in a lineup. Reed, you talk about this every week. I can't believe you're not pounding the table for him, how good he's been with Jordan Love. That's been your guy this year.
He is, but Breece Hall was our number 1 overall pick. And then you got Devonta Smith, who I always pound the table for too, and was very reluctant to trade him this year. But all three of these are some of my favorite players.
Gun to my head, got to pick one this week. I don't think I can leave Breece Hall out just because, like I said, I do absolutely love the idea of the Monday Night Miracle if I need something. And I do think they slow things down. I think they get the play action pass going. I think they get the run game established this week in New York. So I think it's a week where you must have Breece Hall in your lineup. And if it doesn't happen for Breece Hall this week, you may never have to worry about starting him again because this should be the week.
And Breece is playing Buffalo, who's the 32nd ranked defense against running backs in fantasy. I'm sorry, 31st.
I almost want to say to take Chuba out, put Breece Hall in your running back spot and then put Smith or Reed at your flex, Brant. But if it's just down to these three for the flex, I'm going Breece Hall.
I'm not helping him. Last 2 weeks, I've told him to get Breece in his lineup, and it's been a stab right in my chest. So he's on his own this week. He can do it himself.
All right, Paul says, morning, guys. Good morning, Paul. Need a tight end between Laporta versus Dallas or Ferguson versus Detroit. He says the Purdue-Kittle combo or Purdy combo and Kittle combo went off. He needs Pollard to come through for me in the flex. So, Brant, if he's chasing points, do we both agree if you're chasing points, you want to play Laporta in this contest? He's got the higher ceiling, I would say.
Need a tight end between Laporta, Dallas, Ferguson. Yeah, you go Laporta. This is the highest scoring contest. I think it's 52.5 points. No Michael Parsons to slow Laporta down. You do have good corners there out in Dallas. So yeah, I think Laporta's you're chasing points, guys. And I do like Pollard this week to come through for you.
Yep. I like Laporta if you're chasing points.
Jennifer asks, Pittman playing through back injury, Hopkins, Leggett, or Noah Brown? I think you go with Pittman here. I do like Leggett. I'm not 100% sure, how all that offense is going to work around with Atlanta. Atlanta does have a very serviceable defense. Noah Brown, I'm not 100% sure about. Hopkins in Tennessee you're hoping Will Levis. I think I'm going with Pittman.
Yeah, it's Anthony Richardson and then again, though. So if this was Joe Flacco, I feel like I'd be all over Pittman, but it's Richardson. I think I'm still on Pittman. I want to say Hopkins is what I want to go with here, Brent, but Will Levis has been so trash this year. It's hard to advocate starting any of his wide receivers. I'll stay with you on Pittman here, although that back injury does worry me a little bit. I mean, and anytime you get tackled, that's something you got to worry about with a back injury. But we'll go with Hopkins, or I mean, excuse me, with Pittman. Jennifer follows it up saying, pick one: Chase Brown, Jamison Williams, or Jalen Tolbert.
I'm gonna go with Tolbert. Williams is so wishy-washy. If he doesn't take one to the house, it's does he even get one? So I'm going to go with Tolbert. I think he's going to have a very good week. I think all the pass catchers in Dallas are because, they still don't have a running back.
Yep, Tolbert, agreed here. She comes out with another question. I'll let you read this one, Brant, but I feel like this one's a no-brainer for me.
Shaheed or Trey Tucker? I'm going with Trey Tucker. You don't have it sounds like Jacoby's out, sounds like Adams is out, sounds like Zamir's out. I'm going to go with Tucker because Shaheed has a rookie quarterback who's probably not going to try to throw the ball 6 times for 30-plus yards to one guy.
Yep, it's Trey Tucker. It's not even close. Trey Tucker. Jelly of the Month says, 8 guys injured or on bye. I need a running back, and it's slim pickings. We don't like hearing the word slim on this show, but slim pickings: Jalen Warren, Emmanuel Wilson, or Jeremy McNichols. He said the Bills running back is available. It sounds like James Cook's playing, which I think James Cook is supposed to play. I think they said so.
Yes.
Out of those three running backs, Brant, which one do you prefer here?
First off, what is the jelly of the month? I need that answer. And then second off, I'm going to go with Jalen Warren. We know he gets to work there in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to go with Warren.
I know Jeremy McNichols is slotted to get a decent amount of work. I want to see what he's done this year. I don't feel like it's been much. He had a touchdown last week. Oh, man, Brant, he's coming off of 2 weeks ago. He was RB9. Last week, he was RB28. Oh, man. I didn't realize Jeremy McNichols was somebody who's been relevant the last 2 weeks.
Well, that's because Brian Robinson.
I mean, they're not. If you look at these 3 guys, which one do you expect to have the most work? I mean, honestly, when you talk about Jalen Warren, Najee's going to get a healthy work, right? Najee's been over 50%. When you look at Emmanuel Wilson, he's just going to come in and spill. Josh Jacobs, who's going to be on the field for probably 70% of the carries. McNichols is probably going to be the one on the field the most because Eckler's not a 3-down back anymore at this point in his career. I think Eckler is the back to own there this week, but with slim pickings being thrown around, I think I do lean Jeremy McNichols there, Brant.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't hate it. We have all those backs. I don't hate it. Bill asks, Dobbins, Hubbard, Mixon, Tracy, PPR pick 2. Mixon's too hard to sit, so I think I go with Mixon. I think it's between Hubbard and Tracy here in my mind. Let's see. The Falcons are pretty good against it. Let's go with Tracy just because the Bengals are a little bit less or not as good against the run. So let's go with Tracy.
Yeah, I'm going with Tracy as well. That's where listen, this is not a homer thing. I think Chuba Hubbard has a serviceable week. But I do think Tyrone Tracy should have probably 15 plus carries, Brant. And probably a few receptions as well. It still looks to me, I could be wrong, but it looks to me like Miles Sanders is kind of coming in the obvious passing situations for Carolina. So I think you take away some of the PPR upside with Chuba Hubbard. I like Mixon a lot this week, and I like Tyrone Tracy. That Broncos defense scares me off of J.K. Dobbins. I'm sure since I've advocated not to play him twice now, he's going to snap off and have a couple long runs. But I think for J.K. Dobbins, he's got to have those long runs to be fantasy relevant against the Broncos today. And the Broncos just don't give up big plays very often, Brand. It just doesn't happen. So I'm going to go with Tracy and Mixon.
Okay. Jennifer asks, Noah Brown, Lazard, Dare O.
Wallaby.
Yeah. Ty Johnson or Quentin Johnston? Pick two. Chargers at Denver. Oof. So that means Johnson. Who's drawing Surtain? Who's going to no-fly zone?
It should be Ladd McConkey, I would say. It should be.
That would be my thought. So I'm going to go with Johnston there because my thought would be also Ladd. Or does he not shadow and they just try to keep somebody over there because they really don't have a true number one? So I'm going to go with Johnston and I'm going to go with Lazar. Lazar is just a safety blanket. You're almost guaranteed to see 2 or 3 catches out of him every single week. So I'm going to go with Lazar.
Yeah, I agree. You get the big play ability out of Quentin Johnston, and then Alan Lazard is definitely, like you said, is that safety blanket for Aaron Rodgers. So I agree with you on this one. We'll go QJ and Alan Lazard.
Okay.
It's funny when you work through your thought process out loud because a lot of what you're saying is the same thing I'm thinking quietly on my side. So, Bill asks Tucker Kraft or Dalton Kincaid. I think it's got to be Kraft here, doesn't it, Brant? I mean, Kincaid's been so crap this year.
Yeah, I think you have to. Buffalo plays the Jets, so yeah, I think I'm going to go with Kraft.
Yeah, I think I want to go that way too, although somehow recently Dalton Kincaid has moved his way up to tight end 13 on the season, which just again shows how crappy the tight end position has been this year.
All you got to do is be consistent with like 4 points a game, and you're there.
That's about right. The last 2 weeks, 9 and 5. So for Kincaid, so 7 targets and 6 targets he's coming off of the last 2 weeks for Kincaid, which is promising that he's starting to get some looks from Josh Allen. But you got 9 and 5 targets the last 2 weeks for Kraft. Arizona is like number 5 against the tight end. Kincaid plays the Jets, who's like number 1 against the tight end. So I will go Kraft, Brant. Kraft it is.
Tony says, my running back spot is in shambles with Stevenson and Robinson Jr. Yes, us too. With both of them out, should I go with Gibson and Allen and PPR? Gibson or Allen and PPR? I think you got to go Gibson here over Allen. He's going to be we've seen Gibson as a workload. And like you said, Drake May is starting this week. You in agreement with that one?
As well. Yep.
All right. Question 2, which wide receiver would you sit out of these 4? Reed, Evans, Wandell, or Lazard? I'm benching Lazard. He's not the number 1 there. And it's a whole new offense this week. So I'm gonna bench Lazard.
We're in agreement on that one as well, Brant. That's pretty self-explanatory here. All right. Mike says flex Josh Downs or Chase Brown.
I could go
Downs
with Chase.
Downs is another one for me, Brant. If Joe Flacco's under center, I'm not taking Josh Downs out, but because it is not Joe Flacco under center, I am a little nervous about Downs this week.
I am definitely in agreement with you there. Downs last week proved me completely wrong. I thought it was going to be, a huge show for everyone else. But with Flacco, it's Downs. Without Flacco, I'll go Chase Brown with this one as well.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning with the Chase. Downs coming off 12 targets, 9 receptions, and a huge week, Brant. I'll go Chase Brown. Anthony Richardson, he if there's a small smidge of opportunity to throw a ball deep over the middle, that's what he's going to do over a dump off. So I'll go. There's just no way he gets 12 targets this week. So because of that, I'll go Chase Brown.
Okay. All right, Selena in a bind. Neighbors is out this week. McConkey or Coleman could pick up Watson or Wicks off waivers. Also have Alec Pierce on the bench. I'm going with Ladd McConkey here. He moves around the formation. I know we talked about Surtain possibly shadowing him. I'm going to go with McConkey here. I think he's the safety blanket across the middle. So I am actually going to go with McConkey.
I think you and I are going to be very, very different on this one. I'm just going back to check one last thing. Oh my God. Coleman was only relevant last week because of his touchdown. I watched that game. I knew he was getting the targets. He had 5 targets, but he only caught 1 ball. Oh my God. I almost want to say Wicks, Brant. I don't necessarily like McConkey this week. He scares the heck out of me just because it could be Surtain that follows him around. If Denver and Sean Payton believe that Ladd McConkey's the guy, they're going to go put Patrick Surtain on him and say, beat us with somebody else. And goodness gracious, is Patrick Surtain good enough to do that? Yeah, I'm not starting anybody against the Broncos defense, Brant, if I can avoid it. So I'm gonna say Dontavian Wicks in this one, Brant.
Okay.
It's the one time I think I'm gonna advocate to pick him. He's had so many targets. He's had 20 targets the last 2 games. I just can't start anybody against the Broncos secondary. And unless it was like a for sure thing that it was like, yep, Quentin Johnston's the number 1, then I would say Ladd's an instant start because I think he does work the middle of the field so well that that Broncos defense is the scariest one in the league to me right now.
Okay.
All right. Betsy says, I have Cook, who is questionable, and Moss. I also have Brown and Tracy. Would you stick with Moss and Cook?
I'm sticking with Cook because it sounds like he's going to play. He's the focal point of that offense right now. Moss, I think I'd switch out for Tracy. I think I'm putting Tracy and Cook in. That gives you both your running backs going late on Sunday and Monday, so you get those miracle times. So I think I'm going to go with Tracy and Cook are my choices. I guess Moss does play late too, but
Moss does play late, but he also has Brown in the backfield,
yes.
So they share. And I think you're slowly starting to see that Moss, who was the stud at the beginning of the year, starting to switch out with Brown a little bit here recently. Tracy's too good, Brant. I really like what we saw out of him last week.
I like him, yeah.
I know we're a little early on this. But while we have some time without questions pouring in, let's get through these underdog plays of the week, Brant. That way we have some time at the end of the show so we're not speed reading through the last minute questions here.
Okay, absolutely.
All right, Brant, take us through your underdog plays of the week.
All right, I got Jamar Chase higher than 5.5 receptions. He's gone in it 3 out of 5 games, and this should be a pretty good game with them and the Giants for them. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go with Tolbert higher than 45.5 receiving yards. No Cooks. Sees plenty of targets. Highest scoring game of the week. And then I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. He's going against A.J. Terrell. We talked about A.J. Terrell giving up yards. So I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson higher than 62.5 receiving yards. And he's also hit this in 2 out of 3 games with Andy Dalton. My other one is Tank Dell higher than 52.5 receiving yards. He was phenomenal without Nico in the 1 or 2 games last year. I think he'll thrive again this year without Nico Collins. And I think Nico did go to the IR, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And then Breece Hall higher than 78.5 total yards. It's the Breece Hall show this week. And once again, I like what's being set up there in New York. So I expect Breece Hall to see a lot of screens and runs.
Okay. For me, I've got Zay Flowers higher than 5 receptions. I feel like he's been Lamar Jackson's go-to guy all season, so I like him to continue that this week. I've got George Pickens to go higher than 44.5 receiving yards. I think he also has been that guy for Justin Fields. Anytime there's a chance to throw the ball to him, Justin Fields is all over that. Jared Goff higher than 247.5 passing yards on what should be an absolute shootout in Dallas against the Cowboys. And then my favorite one of the week, Brent, Drake London to go higher than 5.5 receptions. He has done that every week except for week 1 in his stinking contest. He had 6, 6, 6, and 12. So I like Drake London there. And then I could not resist it. I had to get it in there. I've got Drake May to go for a higher than 164.5 passing yards this week. I think the reason he's playing is because that passing game has been so atrocious. With Jacoby Brissett, I think you could see Drake May come in and be the savior for that Patriots offense. I still think they get their butts whipped this week, but I think Drake May comes in and makes them somewhat relevant. Uh-oh, did we lose? I may have lost Brant there. We're going to try to work through this while I wait for him to come back. But I've got Tony asks David Njoku or Isaiah Likely.
I'm back. My whole internet just crashed out. Everything froze up on me. So we're on Njoku and Likely. I'm going to go Njoku. I like Njoku this week. I apologize. That's like literally all of my devices, just no internet.
That it spun me out too when it was going there, so I didn't know what we had going on. And then I came back and saw you were gone. So yeah, Tony, I'm also in agreement here. I like David Njoku. He's like the one thing on that Cleveland Browns offense that I don't despise. So and you're going against the where are we at? The Eagles. Yeah, that should be like the one spot where I think the Browns are able to exploit the Eagles a little bit there. So I'll go with Njoku here. Are you starting Njoku against me this week, Brant?
I am not. I'm going to start Brock Bowers.
Okay, yeah. Okay, all right, okay. Whoops, clicked the wrong button there. Meant to take the comment off, and I accidentally removed Brant from the stream. We're just a hot mess here at the last 15 minutes of the show. Betsy says, Scary Terry or Chris Godwin, Brant?
I'm going to go with Scary Terry. I expect a huge week out of him in one of the highest scoring contests this week. So I'm going to go with Scary Terry here. As much as I like Godwin, I expect this game to be back and forth. And Baltimore's secondary does not scare me at all this year.
Acceptable to the pass for sure. But I'm going to go with Chris Godwin, like we talked about earlier. He's been the epitome of consistency. So I'm not sitting or taking out Chris Godwin at all at this point.
Okay. All right. Daryl says, start or sit question of the week, Daniels or Hurts? Oh, man. I've wrote Daniels. I've used both these QBs almost all year. I'm going to stick with Daniels. He's made some great decisions. He's been very accurate. I'm going to go with Daniels as the start this week. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them this week.
Well, one of them's quarterback 2 on the season. One of them's quarterback 20. So I'm going to go with the one who's quarterback 2, which is indeed Jaden Daniels. Like you said, the secondary in Baltimore doesn't scare me. The rest of that team does a little bit, but the Browns defense is the only thing semi-relevant over there, and they still have Myles Garrett, who can disrupt some things. So I'll go Jaden Daniels with a fair amount of confidence over Hurts in this one.
So I would ask you my start of the week question, but it's against you, so I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, I'll tell you the wrong answer for sure, which would end up being the right answer. All right, Brant, let's go through these touchdown scores this week. Who you got?
I got CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
Risky. Actually, if you look back here, you'd think minus CeeDee Lamb. I'm throwing it back a couple of years because I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, and Derrick Henry all to find the end zone.
Okay. I almost put CeeDee Lamb down, but I withheld it. I did double it. We did double up on Derrick Henry again this week. You and I think both had him last week as well. So I've got Derrick Henry to score a touchdown as well. I have Alvin Kamara to score one. I think with that rookie quarterback, with Spencer Rattler there, he's going to get plenty of dump offs. Looks like Cole Kmet just caught his second touchdown of the contest in London.
Yes, sir.
So there you go with Cole Kmet for 2. Might be tied in 1 after this week. I think actually he will be. He was already up there. So then I actually had Marvin Harrison to score a touchdown. And then I have Brock Bowers to find the end zone this week. There's nobody else relevant in Vegas. I mean, Trey Tucker I like a lot this week, but even still with saying that, Brant, I think Brock Bowers is going to be the guy to own. I don't know how I feel about Aiden O'Connell, who I believe is starting this week for them, but still, I think Brock Bowers finds the end zone. Has he scored a touchdown yet this year, Brant?
Last week.
Last week he got his first one. Okay, so I think he gets his second one this week.
Okay, absolutely.
Cole says Deontay Johnson or Bucky Irving in full PPR.
This one is tough here. I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson against your Falcons. I like him this week, so I'm going to go with Johnson this week in a full point PPR.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson was a guy who came in this year who I think could be a wide receiver 2 over the course of the year. You and I were pretty high on him all off season. No reason to come off of that just after one slow week. I think he's back in the saddle again this week. I look for him to have 6+ receptions. I won't say he's going to go off and necessarily have over 100 yards receiving, because I do think AJ Terrell will give up some plays, but I think Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons back there will keep anything from going super deep. But I like him to have 6+ receptions this week, which is well more than enough to keep him in my lineup, Brant.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got some more downtime here. Let's talk about what we're eating this week, Brant. What's on the menu for you?
Well, with Seattle playing the Thursday night game, I am going to be watching from my devices here. It's pumpkin carving day here, but we always go over to a friend's house and they have some good soups going on. So that's what's on the menu. We got some cheeseburger soup, some chili, and I'm sure there'll be some other stuff spread out. It's going to be a little fall day for us, even though it's like 80 degrees here. It looks like out there. I haven't stepped outside, but it's bright and sunny. So,
yep. For me, it's going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think we're doing appetizers for dinner, if I'm not mistaken. We've got some buffalo chicken dip, some cheese curds, you name it, it'll be out there. For lunch, I'm going to have some leftover Gazzardo's schnitzel pizza. If you don't know what a schnitzel pizza is, you better ask somebody. You better Google it. It's my favorite thing in the world to eat. And as a fat guy, if I'm saying that, it has to be really good. So I'm definitely looking forward to my leftovers there for the noon contest, and then some appetizers when my Falcons are in the second half of their contest this week. So definitely should be a good day for food for this fat boy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Brant. So we're seeing it going into halftime 14-3. The Bears are in first right now. Obviously, we talk about sometimes these teams don't wake up until the second half because of the jet lag, the time zone difference. Do the Jaguars make this a contest, or do you think next week is going to be the week for them? Because they are there 2 weeks in a row.
I think the Jaguars make this contest. Their offense has been okay. They threw, I think he threw an interception, was one of the drive stoppers. Maybe he got sacked. He must have got sacked and stopped the drive. The biggest thing in my mind right now is 3 carries for -1 yards for Travis Etienne. He is not awake. Take Bigsby looks phenomenal with 5 carries, 18 yards. I guess not phenomenal, but it's that run game. They got to get their running backs going. Thomas Jr. started the game with 2 receptions on, I think, the first drive. They got to get their run game going and open up that pass game. But I do think that they'll be able to make this a contest.
Okay. All right, Brant. I like it. Let's see here. What else we got? Okay.
I did bench ETN against you, so I'm okay with this -1.
Yeah. Who are you planning on watching in this noon slate since your since your Seahawks aren't on?
So this noon slate, I'm going to watch this Tampa Bay New Orleans game. I like it. I'm also going to be intrigued by the Houston New England, but I'm intrigued by these rookie quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler was one of the best prospects coming out of high school into college. He struggled in college. He looked phenomenal in the preseason. He's come out and openly said Chris Olave is too electric. We're going to feed him the ball. I'm excited to see what this offense looks like because watching last week New Orleans was the first time them just airing the ball out to Shaheed was just atrocious. Why are you throwing it 30 yards down the field on a 4th and 2 or a 3rd and 2 to one guy? I'm excited to see what this New Orleans can do with the younger quarterback.
Yeah, I think at the same time you got the Texans at the Patriots with Drake May starting. I want to see what that looks like as well. But I can't lie to you, Brant. Out of this noon slate, there's some really juicy matchups. But the one that I'm super excited to see is Kyler Murray versus Jordan Love there in Green Bay. That is the contest I plan on having. I plan on having like the 4 split screens on Sunday Ticket, and that be the one that has the volume on. But I definitely intend to watch a little bit of the Drake May situation, see what that looks like. Obviously, I plan to have the Spencer Rattler game on it since that one has divisional meaning for me. And then I'd like to be able to watch the Commanders at Ravens too. There's a really high point total in that contest. You got some big fantasy names in that one. So I definitely plan on at least switching around a little bit in the noon slate since my Falcons don't play till the 3:00 slate today.
All right, absolutely. That Falcons-Washington game is just going to be a high scoring. I think it's going to be a shootout game. It's going to be definitely fun to watch. What did I say? I'm at Ravens Commanders. Sorry.
Okay. Same bird, both black in color, but yes. Okay, there we go. All right, we did have another question come in here. Secret says Laporta or Kraft, Brant?
I'm going with Laporta here. The Dallas corners are decent enough to kind of blanket those. I think St. Brown will still get his. I think J-Mo might get a breakout one, but I think Laporta is a guy that you got to start this week.
Okay. So I think I think on that high scoring contest, we talked about this walking into work one day last week, Brant. It hasn't been worked out and come to fruition yet. But Sam Laporta is running one of the highest amount of routes for any tight end in the league right now. It just hasn't transitioned into fantasy points for him. They are coming off their bye week last week. I think that should result in some things getting fixed in that offense. I think you see a bounce back week for these Detroit Lions. I think St. Brown has a good week. I think Laporta has a good week. I think both the running backs are relevant. I think this game is going to be one of the listen. Everything in this contest is supports a massive scoring outburst. Watch it end up being like 17-13 or something, and we'll all be really disappointed. But this game everything lends itself to an offensive explosion on both sides of the ball here, Brant. So I'm really having a hard time sitting anybody in this contest. I know Tucker Kraft is coming off that 2-touchdown performance, but you almost feel like he would have to do that again in order to replicate what he did as far as being relevant. So I'm going to go with Laporta as well. Like I said, it's just one of those you can't sit. So
yeah, absolutely. So I want to address a little elephant in the room. The Fatboyz have been slacking on the cast the last 2 weeks. We got both kids. I got kids in high school volleyball. I also coach middle school basketball. Your kids have started to cheer for football and middle school basketball. Schedules are getting crazy. We will get back to this, I promise. I don't want to, you guys might be out there looking. The Fatboyz have unfortunately not been able to line up during the week with our schedules, but we're getting there. We're going to get back on track. It's just been a rough week, and not to mention this past Wednesday, we don't know what happened. Either Facebook went down or something. We were sitting there trying to message each other, and no messages were going through because we were going to try to do a late one, but we are going to get back to it. We're just This week, I think we're both off the majority of the week, so we got a chance to actually
Mhm.
sit down and try to map out some schedules rather than us all be bouncing around. So we will be back on the cast. Don't think we forgot about you guys. We do, I've got 5 daughters, so I'm running around everywhere. You've got three kids yourself running around everywhere, plus 2 dogs that want to make sure they're on the cast on Sunday mornings as well.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we haven't forgot about you guys, and we will get back into it. The Fatboyz are here for you. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to hit us up on Facebook, through the Fantasyholics page, through the Fatboyz Dynasty page. We will get back to you as soon as we get to it. We're both pretty good at checking it, even though we are at events and everything else with our kids. We do still check it. We get the notifications. So if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Fatboyz.
Yeah, one of us is on their phone quite a bit at the girls' basketball games. The other one of us not so much. So for that matter. But at the same token, everybody on the Fantasyholics page, these guys are awesome. We play in some contests and some leagues against these guys. They're all super sharp-minded people. It's hard to get a claim in on waivers. You're definitely not sneaking anybody over on these guys. So I trust these guys will start setting, questions. If you don't get a question answered in time with us, or maybe you're watching this contest in London intently and you're like, oh crap, I forgot to get my question asked. Don't hesitate to either go to Patrick's live start sit that he does, after he survived Hurricane Helene. I believe he's in the area of Tampa, so he dealt with that. So he'll be back live, and then we've got plenty of other guys on the page that if you want to go ask a question, maybe you want to ask a question before the afternoon slate kicks off, don't hesitate. There's a great group of guys over there answering questions as well. I trust everybody on this page with advice. So first of all, they're not all as handsome as the 2 fat guys. I will say that first and foremost, but I do trust their knowledge pretty handedly. So again, if you didn't get it in with us in time, don't hesitate to go jump it in over there. Like Brant says, we will be back with our Wednesday cast. Again, we are live on YouTube when we do that on Wednesday evenings. We try to go around 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 Central. So if you guys want to catch us over there, you got trade questions, lineup questions for Wednesday nights, we'd be more than happy to answer those, hang out with you guys live on YouTube for an hour. So again, come check us out. Come join us over there. It's always a good time, Brant.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely hit us up if you have any waiver questions on Wednesday or start sits for Thursdays. Don't forget, don't flex on Thursday. Don't flex in London. We do have another London game next week. So if you do, I think that's the Jags, and who travels over there to play them? Is it New England?
I want to say it's the Patriots. That's what my brain says it is.
Yeah. So I mean, you got two games prior to us going live on Sunday. So don't hesitate to hit us up, or if you have any underdog questions, this fat boy is always into some betting questions. So I always enjoy it. I actually have one going right now. It's not looking good with ETN being so bad, but there's still a whole other half of football to go. So it's always fun. Join us up on Thursdays or Wednesdays when we're live, and also on Sundays. We appreciate everyone that joins us, and as always, we'll be here for you. And just hit us up.
And I think that concludes us for this week, guys. Good luck on your contests.
So as always, stay hungry
and stay fat, my friends.